This is Bedtime Stories, Grownup Edition, Love and War, Part 19. When we left off, Jeff had convinced True that his college friend Darlene could absolutely not be Maribel's attacker. And Donovan pulled up on Rennie. Here he was, trying to be a gentleman and treat her like a lady. But it looks like he may very well have made ending things with her a whole lot harder. We also found out that Stephanie's little plan fell flat. And when she went for a do-over, Corey wasn't going. She poured her little heart out and said some things that he'd never heard before. Dejected, Stephanie locked her apartment door, went into her bedroom, threw herself across her bed, and cried and yelled at God. She said, "This is all your fault. You made me like this, and you made me love this crazy, stupid man. How did it even sound like a good idea for a woman like me to fall in love with a pastor? My mother, God rest her soul, wanted me with a man who loved you, and I know that's what she was praying for. But you don't think you took it a little far? Now, you know I don't want my brother-in-law, but you could have gave my sister the pastor. That was right up her alley. And you could have gave me the Queenpin son. Hell, maybe then I wouldn't have needed somebody else's damn embryo to have a baby." And then Stephanie fell apart. That was the first time that she'd acknowledged her true feelings about having to use Angela and her deceased husband Marcus's embryo. She said, "Lord, I love my baby. That's my baby. That's my baby. I don't mean that I don't love my baby. I'm not ungrateful, Lord. Please don't take her from me. I just mean maybe things would be different. Maybe I'd be different." When True came to Stephanie's door to check on her, Stephanie went to the door, but she didn't open it. She said, "I'm not going with y'all to Vegas. Go without me. I got some things I need to work out." Meanwhile, at Maribel's estate, Uncle Manny's preparing to head to Vegas. He said, "Mija, I don't know how comfortable I am with you staying here while everybody else is leaving." Maribel said, "I got all this security. I got even more security now. Believe me, I'll be fine. If anything, I need time away from this crazy family. We'll all be back together in a matter of days. Just promise me that you'll be on your best behavior and you won't embarrass my mother." Manny said, "Little girl, I am way too old to be embarrassing your mother or myself. A 20-something-year-old loose woman ain't got nothing I need." Maribel said, "That's what they all say." Then she left the estate. She had a hot date at the spa with herself and a masseuse. She had a one-track mind. And the only thing that was on it was how much she was going to enjoy her pedicure, manicure, and deep tissue massage. She made it from Dallas to Bedtime and Fort Worth in no time. Her father had asked her to take a driver everywhere she went, but she wanted to go this one solo. She wanted to drive herself because the driver wasn't going to drive fast enough. She wanted to get in her little sports car, put the top down, let the wind blow through her hair, and bend corners. She drove so fast, she was hoping that her security had kept up. Unfortunately for her, they hadn't, but somebody else did. She pulled up at the spa, put the top back on, hopped out, and made a beeline for the spa. When she was done with her manicure and her pedicure, she was ready for that massage. And she was pleasantly surprised when her masseuse told her that she had an upgrade that included fruit, champagne, and a therapeutic soak in the jacuzzi tub after her massage was completed. When she asked who she had to thank for the upgrade, she expected her masseuse to say that it was courtesy of the Queen Mother, as this was her establishment and Maribel was on an every 2-week schedule. But when he handed her a card that said, "You deserve this and more," she thought to herself, "I guess Donovan got the hint that he can't bully me into giving him another chance." She smiled sheepishly and said, "Oh, okay." When her wonderful massage was completed and she slipped down into that hot bubble bath and those jacuzzi jets started spinning, Maribel thought she was in heaven. She said to herself, There was only one thing that could possibly make this better. But he ain't bold enough to do that. She took a few bites of the fruit and sipped a little of the champagne. And then she slipped the eye mask on and lowered herself in the water to her neck. Before she knew it, she was dozing off, and she was brought back to attention by a loofah rubbing down her neck to her chest and her breast. She let out a deep moan, and when she reached to remove the eyewear, she felt a hand stop her and heard a low voice say, "Relax." The hand continued to wash all over her upper body, and then it slid down to the bottom of the tub and expertly washed and massaged Big Garfield. The entire experience had Maribel ready to explode. Having her eyes covered provided her with the sensory deprivation necessary to completely enhance her experience of her sense of touch. And when the hand that was at her middle slightly pushed her up, lifting her out of the water and sliding a finger into the land below, the man's head lowered to her hippo. And as she exploded, he covered her mouth with his. And when she was spent, he walked out. Maribel lifted the eye mask and she was conflicted. She decided that if Donovan went about things the right way, she'd consider giving him another chance. And this was nice and all, but this wasn't necessarily what she meant. She wasn't sure if he had just done all of this just to see if he could, or if he done it because he knew she needed it. And she needed it. It had been a long time. While it felt good, she was not left fulfilled by it. Something was missing. And she was going to let him know that. The very next time she saw him, she figured that if she hurried out of the tub, the next time she saw him could be now. So she hurried out of the tub. When she rushed out of the bathroom, the masseuse was waiting for her. And she said, "Where is he?" The masseuse said, "He said to tell you that he had to go. He's heading out of town, but he'll be back soon." Maribel thought to herself, I guess he wanted to leave me with something before he heads to Vegas. Meanwhile, over at the family compound in Denton, the ladies are preparing to head to Vegas. All of the children have piled up at Q and Angela's. And since Mom Brenda stays there with them, Miss Bernie and Mom Joyce have decided to join her there. They just gonna have a big old sleepover. When Angela said, "We only got 30 minutes to meet the Queen Mother, Salima, and True at the Clearport," Mom Brenda said, "Stephanie not going?" Angela said no. She texted me and said she too upset. Something happened with her and Corey again. Mom Brenda said, "My po baby. I'll check on her." Regina said, "That girl is persistent, if nothing else. She gonna get that man or drive him crazy trying." Angela chuckled and said, "She gotta come up with a new way because the stuff she trying is not gonna work. Corey is not going for none of that manipulation. Did y'all hear what she did last night?" Then Angela filled them in on the concrete debacle. And when Regina finished laughing, she said, "Oh baby, this is why I always loved your baby sister. The three musketeers are all grown up and still on BS." Angela said, "Please don't encourage her." When the ladies left, Mom Brenda called Stephanie. Stephanie told Mom Brenda everything. How she was feeling, the breakthrough that she'd had when she was getting God told, and that she was at her wit's end. She was almost ready to give up and just let Kim have him. And Mom Brenda said, "Girl, you got to be joking. That man don't want no dang on Kim. She has no class. She's desperate. While we all sin and fall short of his glory, her sanctification is a little questionable. Kim is not your issue. And believe me when I tell you, she is not your competition either. You need to stop worrying about interfering in whatever Kim is concocting and leave that in God's hands, because he got it. You need to stop trying to manipulate that man, because manipulation is witchcraft. The same way he ain't falling for none of her tricks, he not gonna fall for none of yours. All that stalking and following and destroying other people's property ain't gonna cut it. How about you try doing it God's way? Ask him what you should do, baby." Later that night in Vegas, the bachelorette and bachelor party plans were coming together. Miss Charlotte's friends had arranged for her and her ladies to go out for a show. And Samuel's boys had arranged for food, drinks, and entertainment at a suite. Donovan and AJ were the last ones to arrive in Vegas. And when they walked into the hotel suite where Samuel's bachelor party was being held, the gang erupted like the crowd at Cheers. And he was Norm. LJ said, "It's about time. I was about to send out a search party. I thought for sure my sister had turned into a black widow." Donovan laughed and said, "Nah, she was way cooler than I expected." Q said, "Let me find out. You somehow managed not to tell that girl the truth." Donovan said, "No, she actually made it pretty easy." LJ said, "We talking about Rennie here?" Donovan said, "Yeah." LJ said, "Oh, I gots to hear this." Then Donovan told them all about what happened when Rennie got in the car. When Rennie got in that car, Donovan was damn near drooling and couldn't stop telling Rennie how bad she was. The man started singing Vito's "I'm with some fine and Rennie figured she was in for a long night. She just didn't know how long or why. And when he handed her a bouquet of roses, Rennie was in love all over again. Men did not buy Rennie flowers, and they didn't take her to restaurants the like of the Harvest. So when they pulled up outside of the Harvest, Rennie looked at Donovan with a straight face and said, "D, you want me to suck the meat off that bone now or after dinner? Because if I suck it now, you won't have the energy to eat dinner. And I won't be able to chew. Because I'm going to have lockjaw like a $20 crack hoe trying to suck her way to her next hit." Child, if Donovan would have had panties on, they would have been wet. Rennie was speaking his language. He had to keep reminding himself that he was saved. And he was not here to get the meat sucked off any bone. Donovan said, "Rennie, that's not what this is." Rennie said, "Then what the hell is it? Because if I'm not getting some of D from D at the end of this night, then you played this all wrong." Donovan said, "Rennie, let's go in the restaurant, have dinner, and talk." Rennie said, "If you didn't come all this way to talk to me about how we going to spend the rest of our lives together and how we going to spend tonight getting it in, you could take me back to the dorm. I don't need no damn dinner, Donovan. You ain't got to let me down easy. I haven't seen you for over a year and a half. You should be ready to flip it, smack it, and rub it down. Let me guess. You're flipping, smacking, and rubbing Maribel down." Donovan said, "I'm not flipping, smacking, or rubbing anything or anyone down. I know it's hard for you to believe. It's hard for me to believe, too." Rennie, "I'm saved. I got baptized a few days ago, and I haven't been with anybody since you and I were last together." Rennie said, "I'm saved, too, and I got baptized when I was 13. I don't know if it's stuck. I might need another dip, but I love God, too. And I ain't met a pastor yet who could convince me that God don't want me to enjoy the life that I'm living. And it ain't enjoyable if I ain't having fun." Donovan said, "I am not here to debate theology with you, Rennie. All I know for sure is I think clearer when I'm not getting it in. And the world is a safer place when you not getting it in." Rennie chuckled and said, "Oh, you might be right there. That might be the truth. It might be safer, but it damn sure ain't fun." Donovan said, "I'm hungry, Rennie. Can we please go in this restaurant and eat?" Rennie said, "We can, but I need to know what I'm dealing with. And I need to know straight up. I'm not going in this restaurant, eating no meal, looking into them eyes of yours, laughing at your jokes, fighting to keep my toes out of your lap, and trying to convince myself not to drop something that I gotta go under the table to retrieve, just so you can tell me at the end of the night that it's over." And Donovan said, "I'm still in love with Maribel." Rennie said, "Get the bleep out of here. You don't say." Donovan said, "I'm sorry, Rennie." And Rennie said, "For what? For being a man? For being human? You can't think I'm surprised. Not for real. Oh, I'm hurt. And I'm going to go back to my dorm room and tear it to pieces. I'm going to cry and scream and break stuff. I'm going to curse the day Maribel was born, the day you was born, and then I'm going to get over it. There is this fine behind guard that your mother assigned to me who been trying to get at the girl. And let me tell you something. I've been holding him at bay for 2 reasons. 1, I was waiting to hear from you. And 2, the Queen Mother said if he was serious, she'd reassign him and he'd have to wait 3 months for his replacement to be on the job first. Donovan fell out laughing. He could not believe what he was hearing. Donovan said, "You seriously better, ain't you?" Rennie said, "Yeah. Not to mention, every time we slept in the same bed together, you talked about Maribel in your sleep and whimpered like a puppy. But I had the time of my life, though. So, go forth and be great." "You still want to eat dinner?" Donovan said, "Hell yeah. And I still want to eat it with your crazy behind, with your fine self." At the bachelor party, LJ and Q fell out laughing. LJ said, "Bro, do you know how blessed you are?" Donovan said, "Hell yeah." LJ said, "No, seriously, you handled that all wrong. Rennie could have blown a gasket. She didn't just take that well. She let you off easy." Q said, "You better pray that the other shoe don't drop. The real proof is going to be in the pudding, and why is it surprise?" Donovan said, "Oh, don't worry. I'm going to have a conversation with the Queen Mother and make sure that Rennie have company so she don't have a change of heart." Hit that gym and get back fine. Go get that degree. Go, girl. Focus.